A very good Tuesday evening to you, folks. We are streaming live. Want to bring you an update on the anticipated snowfall heading our way late tonight, mainly overnight after midnight into the early morning hours tomorrow. Already right now we're seeing snow in places like Dyersburg, Tennessee, Memphis, Jackson, Tennessee, reporting snow. That's moving into western and central Kentucky, and that will continue to advance its way to the east, heading toward our direction. So we'll walk through some of the maps right now and bring you some of the details of what we're expecting. And we will have, of course, a full update coming up tonight at 10 o'clock on Fox 43 and at Channel 10, certainly at 11 o'clock for the late news. So, yes, here's what we're seeing right now. Again, as you can see, that snowfall is continuing to stream out of portions of Arkansas toward Memphis. Where you see the darker blue colors, that is some moderate to heavier snow that's crossed over Arkansas and the Mississippi River into West Tennessee. Just showing you what's happening right now there. Light to moderate snow continues from Missouri, southern Illinois, toward Paducah, Owensboro, and working its way now toward Murray, Kentucky, and Bowling Green and Hopkinsville. About to move into the Nashville area here shortly. So, again, we're looking at dry conditions through our evening. It will be after midnight into the early morning hours. But here's our regional futurecast, and then we'll come back local and walk back through it. This is just before midnight tonight at 11 p.m. You got the snow in Nashville, just on the other side of the plateau, likely approaching Cookeville at that time, and will be closer to the plateau by midnight tonight. And this is what we're looking at, that light to moderate snow stretching from west to middle Tennessee, central and western Kentucky. Now, as we go forward, look how quickly the snow accelerates to the east after midnight during the early morning hours for your Wednesday. And this is likely going to have an impact on our Wednesday morning commute. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you, overall, this looks to be mainly a light snowfall event in terms of the overall amounts. Again, we'll take a closer look at the detailed amounts coming up. It looks like in general we could see maybe an inch or two, a couple inches, maybe several inches in some areas, but even an inch of snow could go a long way tomorrow morning and impact the morning commute. Why? The ground fairly cold and becoming colder, and the air is going to stay cold. We're barely going to be above freezing tomorrow, so we've got some of that colder air present and some light to moderate snow arriving even during the late overnight and early morning hours before sunrise. So that could coat some untreated roads. So that's the main concern. Our Wednesday morning commute, some hazardous roadways possible, roads that are untreated, and we'll talk more about that in detail. But that's kind of the big picture. Again, what we could see, it only takes a little bit of snow to cause some issues for the morning commute tomorrow. So that's a look at 7 a.m. Now, as we move forward, this is going to be a fast-moving system. Because of its speed and fast movement, that's going to limit the overall amounts, number one. And overall, again, it's mainly a light snowfall event, some light to moderate snow through the morning. Once we get into the afternoon, it kind of tapers off, actually. So it will rise to the low to mid-30s, may get a little bit of brief warming. Some southern areas could see a little bit of mixing with light rain, but it's mainly tomorrow morning, or at least the first half of the day, and then it tapers off in the afternoon. Now, again, kind of different phases to this pattern, what we're looking at. Accumulating snow tomorrow morning, a little bit of a break in the afternoon. Now, tomorrow night, there's actually another chance for some light snow swinging on through late tomorrow night and early Thursday morning. And this is early Thursday morning at 4 a.m. This little disturbance in the upper levels could provide another little light dusting or coating. It looks like it's probably mainly going to be for the higher elevations, but whether we see another light dusting or not, any moisture that's left over after what we see tomorrow with the wintry weather, that's likely going to refreeze. So Thursday morning commute could also be impactful because of refreezing and maybe an additional light coating of snow coming back in late Wednesday night, Thursday morning, as this upper level trough kind of swings on through the region, right like that, particularly for the mountains and northern areas. Now, just to walk on through, we'll have weather impact alerts continuing Thursday and Friday because of the cold air. So this is kind of a 1-2 punch. Again, generally some light but perhaps impactful snowfall moving in late tonight, tomorrow morning, and then the cold air comes in right behind it for Wednesday night through Friday morning. So we're going to see some clearing skies once we get into our Friday, and we'll have some sunshine, but I'll show you that 3-day coming up in just a moment. It is going to be on the cold side as we look ahead to what we're looking at. So let's go ahead and, again, zoom on in just a little bit closer. We'll walk forward with our local futurecast now. And, again, there's some of that snow as we kind of pan on back to the west. There's Memphis and approaching Nashville up into Kentucky. And right now we're seeing a mostly cloudy sky. Had a beautiful sunset earlier. We shared that on social media, by the way. You can check that out. And here's what we're looking at. for our local futurecast as we, as we head through late tonight into tomorrow morning. So this is midnight tonight. We are looking at, again, some of that light snow approaching from Crossville to Jamestown on up toward Monticello, maybe Somerset, Kentucky. So that initial wave or band of light snow probably moving on to the plateau around midnight, maybe shortly after. And I will say this, the atmosphere is dry in the lower levels. So initially, may take just a little bit of time to moisten up, and that'll probably be what's happening from about midnight to 1, 2, 3 a.m. It'll have to moisten up the lower levels of the atmosphere before it reaches to the surface. Excuse me. But that's what we're looking at as we go from midnight. Let me back this up a little bit because it kind of accelerated. I'll kind of walk you through. As we go from midnight, and here's 3 a.m., and then 4 a.m., and then 5 a.m., notice how that snow shower activity kind of quickly moves off the plateau into the rest of East Tennessee. So this is when we're going to be experiencing and seeing, again, some of that light to moderate snowfall across the region right there. So this is what's going to lay down a light accumulation, maybe again an inch or two possible as we work our way into and through the rest of the morning. Now, notice by 9 a.m., and this is as far as this high-res model goes out, but a couple of things started to show up here. Notice how it's starting to break up a little bit. So after we see a decent amount of light to moderate snow showers through the early morning hours, by mid to late morning, it'll start to be a little bit more scattered. And that's when I think we're probably going to see it tapering off closer to lunchtime into the afternoon. Another thing we're seeing is a little bit of slight warming in the southern valley that could actually change the snow to a little bit of a mix of light rain. But again, this is 9 a.m. But either way, before that happens, before it starts to taper, again, some areas could see an inch or two in the morning. So that's the concern for our morning commute. It's the impacts from perhaps, a coating anywhere from a, coating half inch to inch to maybe a couple of inches in some areas for that morning commute. Now, we'll have a chance for some lingering scattered snow showers as we get past midday in the early afternoon, but it starts to taper for the most part is what most of our guidance is saying. So now here's a look at the potential snowfall amounts. As we look at these amounts, I do want to insert a little bit of an update from what I'm seeing in some of the high-res models. What's interesting, we've got our highest amounts of 2 to 4 inches possible right across Kentucky, the Tennessee, Kentucky, over toward the Virginia state line. So anywhere from, and the 1 to 3 is for Crossville, near Oak Ridge, Clinton, Maynardville, and Morristown. That's north of Knoxville, that 1 to 3. So 1 to 3 to 2 to 4 inches total, and this is from Wednesday, and even taking us through Thursday morning for that additional light snow. So that's the whole event, not just tomorrow morning. But again, some of the latest guidance is indicated that some of that concentrated snow may be a little bit further southward. So that's what we're going to be seeing as potentially as we go through. We have 1 to 2 inches possible for the Central Valley, including the Knoxville area. Again, that's what it looks like. Most of that is tomorrow morning before tapering off in the afternoon. Now, further in the Southern Valley, got a dust into 1 inch. But here's what I do want to point out. When I said that concentrated snow in some of our high-res models a little bit further south, even in the Southern Valley, it could be coming down at a pretty good clip in the morning. So that may have to be raising those totals for the Southern Valley a little bit, just looking at some of our high-res guidance. When we say high-res, the closer you get to an event, that the high-res models it's more in their wheelhouse for, the timing is more updated, the more frequent updates, the resolution is higher, so you always get a little bit better idea of an event the closer you get. I mean, that's kind of obvious, but that's the way it works. With the resolution of models, they're much better the closer you get to an event. Still before it starts, but just the closer in. When you're several days out, you're using some little medium range models, have a good resolution, just not quite as high as once you get within 24 hours and less. So just to make that point. So that's what I'm seeing as we've gone through the afternoon with the late afternoon, early evening update. They're kind of trying to bring a little bit of a decent snow showers even across the southern half of our region by early in the morning. So again, maybe tweaking this a little bit accordingly. But here's a look at our winter weather alerts. We do have a winter weather advisory, again, that will be in place for just about all of East Tennessee. Right now, it does not include the Southern Valley. This may be changing, but right now it does include pretty much the rest of East Tennessee, includes the Valley. Winter weather advisory for Wednesday. And again, even if it's only an inch of snow in some areas, for example, it's expected to be impactful for hazardous travel conditions. And the reason that's what these alerts are for, the potential for hazardous travel conditions possible in the winter weather advisory area. Now, winter storm warning, the expectation for heaviest snow or higher amounts up in Kentucky and the Northern Plateau. But again, what we just talked about, some of our high-res models are trying to bring that down a little bit more further south in some areas before it tapers off. But what we showed a minute ago, that's still the latest thinking. Now, once the snow moves out, again, another little round late Wednesday night, Thursday morning. As I mentioned, it's that 1-2 punch, then the really cold air swings in. So we're talking about the colder temperatures with low wind chills. We'll certainly need to bundle up. Thursday's highs will stay below freezing, and we'll need to watch for those continued slick spots on roads. Any moisture could refreeze late Wednesday night, Thursday morning for the Thursday morning commute, and we'll have a chance for another light coating. So let's talk about the cold weather now, and I'll come back and recap with our impact alert before we conclude here in a minute or so. Cold weather advisory is going to be in place for the plateau and parts of the Western Valley. This does include Roane County, Anderson, and Union County up to Claiborne County, and then north and west. And this is not until tomorrow night. So from basically midnight Wednesday night through 10 a.m. Thursday morning, this is what we're seeing. Again, that it's midnight technically Thursday morning, I know. But basically tomorrow night through 10 a.m. Thursday morning, a cold weather advisory. Check it out. Wind chills could be near or below zero. So that's the type of really cold air heading our way. Here's our forecast wind chill product. Let me back this up, kind of take us from now, and then I'll kind of let it walk on through here. We're looking at, again, this is tomorrow morning. Got wind chills in the teens and 20s, certainly cold. As we get into the afternoon, again, our high temperatures may get just above freezing, but this is just the wind chill. Look at tomorrow night, though, and we'll let this play on out into Thursday morning, and I'll back it up here to 7, 8 a.m. That's what we're looking at Thursday morning. You got wind chills in the lower single digits for parts of the plateau, and in the single digits even in parts of the valley. So some areas could be below zero on the plateau. So that's the forecast wind chill. And again, that's what we're looking at in terms of the very cold air moving in the wake of the system. Here's an example of that cold air. These are current temperatures. It's right now 3 in Kansas City. 3. It's 7 in Springfield, not the wind chill, that's the air temperature. It's 30 in Memphis, 31 in Nashville. We're 37 in Knoxville. Okay, 28 in Little Rock. So look at the wind chill. Feels like 18 in Memphis, feels like 19 in Nashville. I mean, look at this, 3 in Minneapolis, 16 below in Kansas City. Now, we're not going to see that cold. But some of these, that 3 in Indianapolis, that 3 below in St. Louis, that's the type of air we'll be looking at tomorrow night and early Thursday morning. So that's an example of what is heading our way. So here's our forecast tonight. The light snow arrives overnight after midnight into the early morning hours, developing 3, 4, 5 a.m. it looks like, and starting to stick to untreated roadways. Okay, TDOT was out earlier on this Tuesday treating a lot of the roadways, et cetera, so the main thoroughfares, and hopefully they'll hold up, fine. But that's what we got coming tonight. So again, those secondary back roads, our neighborhood roads, could become at least lightly snow covered late tonight into our early Wednesday morning. Don't let your guard down. Be prepared. You may have to drive, if you have to get out in the morning, you may have to be driving on some snow-covered roadways. So, by the way, if you don't have to go down a hill or up a hill, if you can park your car somewhere where you don't have to negotiate a hill, it's always a good idea. In the morning, snow showers likely. Now, through the morning, we have that weather impact alert, but then tapering by the afternoon. Now, notice our high temperature, 34 degrees. So it's mainly the morning impact. And we could still have some light snow lingering to the afternoon. Any additional accumulation would probably be on the grassy surfaces if we get more later in the day. But the main impact is the morning. Again, that's when we could see that inch and a half, 2 inches in some areas as it rolls through, and that could have an impact on those untreated roadways. So, as we talked about, and I mentioned, we have a 10 weather impact alert in place Wednesday for the snow showers, especially first half of the day, and then for the cold, maybe additional light snow Thursday morning early, but for the cold Thursday through Friday morning, and it stays at or below freezing through Friday morning, most areas. Then we finally get above freezing Friday. A slow warming trend as we get into the weekend in the 40s, and then mid to upper 50s returning as we get into the early to middle part of next week. So, here's just a quick recap with our weather impact alert. And if you just joined us on the stream, we're looking at impactful snowfall, light snow, but impactful snow coming in late tonight, tomorrow morning with the temperatures in the upper 20s tonight. And so that's going to be for our morning commute. We're looking at the potential for that light snow to create some slick and hazardous roadways, untreated roads. And so what do you need to do? You need to plan on driving safely and certainly bundling up and dress warmly and get ready the next couple of days. Again, hopefully we'll be able to look back and say, wow, we got another really cold, got some wintry weather and really cold air in the latter part of February. Maybe we'll be able to say that was the last bit of really cold winter weather. We'll have to wait and see, but that's something maybe in March we'll get a little bit of a break. But we do have the weather impact of accumulating snow possible in the morning. And again, there's some more of the details. As I mentioned, that untreated roads could become slick and snow covered in the morning. We'll have a full update. We'll be back a little bit later this evening. I'll give you another update. You can keep it right here. Share this link and info with your family and friends. And just you can always, again, whenever we're having impactful weather, we'll continue to stream. One of the best ways to keep up to date, and always keep this handy with you and keep all that information handy in our app as well. And we'll be back a little bit later this evening with another full update. And meantime, we'll be showing you the radar so you can track that snow as it's starting to move in late tonight and tomorrow morning. Stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you back in just a bit. Just wanted to give you another update here just after 8:45 on this Tuesday evening. Again, we're continuing to monitor some of the latest conditions. Starting to see that snow developing in the Memphis area now around Jackson, making its way up toward Nashville, up into western and central Kentucky. So we'll take a closer look at that radar, and just wanted to bring you another update to keep you updated that we're tracking some wintry weather and snowfall that's likely going to be moving in overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. Now, overall, it does look to be a light snow in general, but it could be impactful. So here's what we're looking at for your Wednesday morning commute. We're looking at the impact of at least some light to moderate snow showers moving in early in the morning. Again, probably starting to move in about 3, 4, 5 a.m. So even well before sunrise and sun comes up. Of course, quite a few schools are out tomorrow. Knox County is out tomorrow. If you haven't heard, I'm sure you have, but just wanted to throw that out there, as well as quite a few surrounding counties. But nonetheless, if you have to go to work tomorrow morning, just be advised you could be encountering some slick and perhaps snow-covered roadways. Neighborhood roads, the back roads, the secondary roads, the untreated roads could be slippery and slick in the morning. So just be advised, that's the main impacts. Again, some snow showers, mainly light to occasionally moderate snow late tonight and tomorrow morning, but enough snow that could have an impact. What are we talking about? Maybe an inch or two possible tomorrow morning. And so overall light amounts, but it doesn't take much, and that's enough, of course, but it doesn't take much snow to create treacherous and slippery roads across the region. Matter of fact, a lot of times when you get more snow, you can get more traction because the tires are sticking to the traction of the snow, if you will, instead of that pavement. When you only get a thin layer up against that pavement and it's kind of icy, that's when it's, as you know, right? That's when it's the worst. So unfortunately, we get light amounts that could create more impacts on the roads tomorrow. So drive carefully, plan on driving carefully, allowing extra time if you have to get out and about. And again, especially on the untreated roads, bundle up. It's going to be very cold, basically. And I even stepped outside a while ago. It's just got that cold chill to it, a little bit of that breeze. It's going to stay very cold all the way through Friday morning. And we have weather impact alerts that will also be continuing. So we're talking about accumulating snowfall possible by early tomorrow morning for the Wednesday morning commute. And again, the snow will arrive late overnight, and with those untreated roads becoming slick and snow covered, you definitely need to use extra caution on the roads in the morning. So let's talk about what we're seeing right now, and then we'll walk through all the maps accordingly. We're down to 37 degrees in Knoxville. We have a wind chill currently of 31, so that's currently what it feels like right now. And again, that's what we're looking at with that current wind chill. The winds are currently out of the north-northeast at 8 miles per hour, and the barometric pressure holding steady. And we're looking at also the dew points in the lower 20s. So yeah, with those dew points in the low 20s, that's what we're looking at in terms of the dry air in place. So yeah, you got the lower dew points and that temperature of 37. As the moisture moves in, it's going to saturate the air, and that's going to lead to evaporational cooling. That will effectively lower the air temperature, and the dew point and the air temperature will come up and meet. And where they meet will likely, it's called the wet bulb temperature, will likely be below freezing in the morning. We're forecasting, as I'll show you in just a second, but low temperatures in the upper 20s. Again, right now, mid to upper 30s, we've got some increasing clouds, and again, still dry and cold. 28 for you in Jamestown, 29 in Williamsburg, 31 in Crossville. And here's a look at those lows tonight. Again, mid to upper 20s, about 29 in Knoxville. And, that snow's going to set in tomorrow morning, light to moderate snow. It is going to be tapering off by late morning into the afternoon, most areas. And so we'll likely get just above freezing. Let me go ahead and show you those highs tomorrow. We'll likely get just above freezing, but later in the day, but not much. And so, here's the key. So while it's generally a light snowfall, the biggest impact is expected in the morning. If we do get a little bit, the daytime when the sunshine comes out, again, it'll be mostly cloudy, but at least when we have daylight, we get some solar insolation. Even with the sun coming through the clouds, it can help to do a little bit of melting. So we'll have to see, how that shakes out in the afternoon, whatever melting we get, because then all that could refreeze again Wednesday night and into early Thursday morning. So that's a look at those highs tomorrow. So let's walk through the details. Here's our 12-hour forecast as we get into tonight and in the morning. Again, generally between about 3 to 5 a.m., the snow shower should be developing in the Knoxville area. It's going to be after midnight, just after midnight, early morning, 1 to 2 a.m. on the plateau, if not right at midnight for you. So working its way from west to east. And again, the atmosphere will have to moisten up first. It will likely be snowing above our heads for a few hours, and then it'll eventually come on down. You may see spit and flurries for a little bit, and then it'll kind of work its way on down. So those snow showers are expected to pick up as we go between 5 and 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, lingering 9 a.m., but then after that, probably it's going to start breaking up later in the morning. So, and I'll show you this with our Futurecast in a moment. It's a kind of a fast-moving system. That will also help to limit the amounts. But again, it only takes a little bit, even if we're talking about an inch or two in some areas, that's enough to have an impact on untreated secondary roads in the morning. So here's a look at what we're seeing right now. And by the way, if you're watching our live stream, we're going to keep a looping radar, and I've got all the different maps watching it right now. It's going to walk through all of our winter weather alerts, the amounts, the Futurecast, the radar, so you can just keep it right there and watch it. And we'll come back, could probably get about 9:30 or so with another update, but you can just keep it right here on the live stream, and it's going to cycle through all the relevant maps and keep you updated. So it's kind of a good tool, a good handy thing. Just keep it right there on your device and go about your evening, but reference that whenever you want. So new feature we'll keep that looping for you and keep it going. So here's what we're seeing from Memphis to Nashville. That's what we're seeing on the snow shower activity, and we'll zoom on in on that in a closer view in a moment. But I just wanted to start broad. Again, that's what we're seeing right now, Memphis, Nashville area, and that's going to continue to make its way to the east. So this is later tonight in a couple hours, about 11 p.m., and again, it's going to quickly move east. Let's walk through the timeline here. This is 7 a.m., so again, from about midnight to 7 a.m. and even in between, the snow quickly advances to the east. There you see it right here. It's encompassing much of area, maybe a little bit more concentrated in the mountains. Again, as far as the intensity, it looks light to moderate, but enough with the ground cold and the air cold. And so, it's kind of what it looks like. It looks like an inch or two. Maybe a little bit more northern areas and toward the mountains, maybe a little bit less in southern areas. I'll show you those amounts coming up, but just want to give you the idea. It's kind of a lighter snowfall, but it could be impactful, again, for our morning commute. And then you see it's a little bit of a mix in North Georgia. This is the one high-res model. Notice how, you see the speed of it? Two things you see. Number one, the speed of it takes it all the way in the Carolinas. This is by noon tomorrow. So it starts to get more scattered, and late morning and midday it starts to break up. And so it's mostly accumulating snowfall is in the morning. It starts to be more scattered. Any additional light snow would be on the grass or elevated surfaces. Again, notice, again, with some solar insolation, some daytime and daylight, I should say, even though it's cloudy, we get a little bit of help in melting, and so that may help to compact and melt some stuff off. But whatever doesn't melt, again, could refreeze. Wednesday night, Thursday morning, upper teens expected to near 20 degrees. So a very cold night. And actually, we have another upper level disturbance. It looks like that's mainly going to be tracking across southern Kentucky, about like this, northern East Tennessee and Virginia, then off to our east. But notice across the Appalachians and the mountains, that's going to likely lay down another coating or light accumulation. And at one point, models were showing another ½ to an inch possible. Actually, this is a high-res model. Some of our other medium-range models were still showing about an inch possible tomorrow morning additional. So we'll see, but it looks like that could give us a coating. That would just simply add another impact to Thursday morning's commute. So we could be looking at refreezing of moisture on the roads and creating an issue there. So for Thursday morning's commute, but also maybe an additional light coating. So the next two morning commutes could be impactful, in other words. And then we're basically, as I'll put it in motion, then we're looking at a clearing sky for the rest of Thursday. It's going to stay cold, below freezing. Highs likely in the 20s, upper 20s Thursday, and in the low teens Thursday night, Friday morning. So we've got weather impact alerts that are going to take us from Wednesday through Friday morning, initially for the potential accumulating snowfall, light snowfall Wednesday, and then for the very cold temperatures Thursday and Friday. So that's how it's kind of shaking out. All right, so back to our radar, a little bit closer vantage point. Again, I'll stop it right here so you can see that snow's working its way into the Nashville area, and 5 till 9, so it's about right on cue. Some of this is all this is not reaching the ground in Kentucky, but you see how that's kind of stretching out to the east? So that's starting that moistening process above our heads, and then eventually it'll moisten, it'll make it down. When it runs to dry air, it evaporates until it becomes moist enough and saturates the lower levels so it can start making it down to the surface. When you have dry air, that's what's very typical in the wintertime. So that's what's going on right now. we're looking at some dry air and evaporational cooling going on. Eventually it'll start reaching the ground for you up in Kentucky, which, by the way, and I'll show those amounts coming right up, some of our northern areas in Kentucky have dealt with some more devastating flooding in some areas, and we've had the severe storms, the heavy rain and flooding, now accumulating snowfall and very cold temperatures coming the next few days. So certainly heads up again. That looks like that will start to reach the ground, over the next few hours. Between now and midnight at least, particularly closer to midnight for the Cumberland Plateau. So that's what we're seeing. This is midnight tonight from generally Crossville, Jamestown, Williamsburg. Some of those lighter snow starting to reach the ground. All right, let's walk forward. This is from midnight, and that's 5:30. Let me back it up to about 5 a.m. There's a look at, again, more of the snow showers continuing to stretch from Crossville to Knoxville to Dandridge in northern areas. So again, continuing to develop. And then right there, notice how quick, I know it kind of went by pretty quick. Let me kind of walk it through hour by hour. There's 6 a.m., 7 a.m., so still looking at some decent light to moderate snow. 8 a.m., still some snow showers coming through, starting to break up off the plateau. But there's 9 a.m., and you can see it starting to go more scattered. And then we walk it through 10 a.m. So we're already by mid-morning, that it's not sticking around long. Again, it's got limited moisture, but enough in the morning to cause an impact. Then it's moving on out by mid to late morning, at least becoming more scattered and starting to taper. So that's a look at our timing. All right, so potential snowfall. Again, this is a general range, and we talked about this in our last live update on the stream. I guess it was about, almost an hour ago now. But, some of our high-res guidance has the highest totals initially on parts of Kentucky, but it wants to kind of bring that a little bit more southward. It may be that 2 to 4, 1 to 3 inch range may be slightly shifting more toward upper East Tennessee, northern East Tennessee, I should say, in these areas. Maybe more so than Kentucky. That's just a little bit of a hit. But right now, these totals still look decent from earlier. The higher amounts, a range of anywhere from 2 inches on the low end to 4 inches on the high end, and that higher totals would be confined more in Kentucky in the higher elevations. That's in northern areas. Now, the 1 to 3 inches is from Crossville. That range of 1 inch to 3 inch. Again, it is a range. Sometimes people see a range and automatically look at the higher number, and well, it's possible, that's why we have a range, but it's not automatic. It's always that higher number. It could be the lower number. Just a humble reminder there. So that 1 to 3 inch, Crossville, Wartburg, Oak Ridge, Maynardville, Tazewell, Morristown, Rogersville, Greenville, in that shade of blue. And so Knoxville, we got the 1 to 2. Notice the 1 to 3 is northern Knox County, 1 to 2. Again, it's not a perfect line. It's just the model output, the general spirit of what it's showing is a little bit more to the north and more of probably that inch or two is what it looks like. Most modeling showing about that much, give or take a little bit more, slightly less, but generally around an inch or two for the Central Valley and Knoxville area. Now, a dusting to an inch in the Southern Valley, but some of our high-res guidance may have to raise that a little bit. That may be more, that could be more in the 1 to 1.5 before it mixes with some light rain in the southern areas. So if you're watching this from Sweetwater, Athens, in McMinn County, Madisonville, Von Orr, Tellico Plains, there may be a little bit of mixing later tomorrow morning before it tapers off, so that may cut into your total slightly, but some of our high-res models are showing it may snow decent enough beforehand that you could get an inch or two. So that inch or two look like it's what's the main potential for most areas. And then the higher amounts up near the Tennessee-Kentucky state line and higher up in the mountains. So that's what it looks like. That's why we're saying, in general, the big picture, a light to moderate snow, but a lighter snowfall event, but impactful. Again, it only takes a little bit. Sometimes, as we talked about, sometimes a little bit is even worse because the tires are more in contact with the pavement with a thin layer of snow in between. And that creates spinning tires. That's why you actually want a little bit more snow so you can get better traction. So here's the winter weather alerts. Again, the alerts are issued for the potential for hazardous travel conditions possible. And this would start late tonight after midnight and early in the morning, but well before sunrise. So a lot of folks waking up may have at least a light, thin cover of snow on the roads in their neighborhood. And so we have a winter weather advisory that includes most of East Tennessee. We'll see if the Southern Valley gets added. This was some of the high-risk guidance indicated made a little bit more there. But winter storm warning, Fentress County in Kentucky, where some of those higher totals were located. Once the snow moves out, it starts to taper off, tomorrow into the afternoon. Now, we may get that light dust tomorrow night, but let's focus on the cold real quick, and then I'll wrap it up here, and we'll get you back to the looping radar, and we'll be back in about 30 minutes for another update. But the very cold air is going to move in Thursday and Friday, And you got to watch for refreezing. So the next couple of nights and mornings, we're going to have potentially slick roads. Here's the cold part, though. Cold weather advisory is going to be in place from midnight tomorrow night through 10 a.m. Thursday morning. And this is for wind chills near or below zero. It's just to the north and west of Knoxville. And we'll see if this is updated. This is just for right now. Again, this is not until tomorrow night. Tonight we're in the 20s with snow showers and snowfall is the main deal, with possible light accumulations tomorrow morning impact on travel. But then we're going to focus on the cold, and that's why a cold weather advisory will be in place tomorrow night through Thursday morning. So some impactful days ahead. Again, wind chills near to below zero. Here's the forecast wind chills. Again, this is tomorrow night into early Wednesday morning. Let me back it up a little bit and show you. There's 7, let me try to get that to stop right there. 7 a.m., notice the wind chill is 0 from Crossville to Jamestown, maybe some negative and below zero wind chills. And you got wind chills of, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 6, 10, Bryson City. So single digit wind chills, pretty widespread. So some serious cold is going to be coming on in. And so here's, again, right now, 2 degrees in Kansas City with a wind chill of 18 degrees below zero. Again, that's the flag, that's the cold flag, I would say, that's blowing around the atmosphere, waving that that's what we got coming our way. It's 17 with the wind chill in Memphis. It feels like 19 right now in Nashville. So to wrap it up, light snow moves in overnight after midnight, 29 tonight. Again, watch out for hazardous slick roads tomorrow morning. Doesn't take a lot of snow to cause issues, but we could see an inch or two in the morning with the winter weather advisory in place. Morning snow tapering off late morning, midday into the afternoon. We get just above freezing. Hopefully we do, but looks like we'll get just above freezing. Some melting. The daylight, solar insolation, sun angle will help. And then we could have refreezing, though, tomorrow night. So with that potential refreeze, maybe a little bit of a light coating tomorrow night, Thursday morning, with that upper trough swinging through, but mainly the very cold air. We'll continue the weather impact alerts into Thursday and the first half of Friday because of the very cold air. Look at that. 29 for a high on Thursday. Let me highlight the box there. A low of 19. And then Friday, we got a low of 12 and a high of 37. And then, heading into the weekend, Saturday still looks a little coolish, 44, but I mean better than 37 on Friday. A low of 20. The nights are still cold. Days are cool, but at least we're climbing. 49 Sunday will feel a little bit better. 49. There we go. 54 on Monday. 58 partly cloudy on Tuesday. And so it's starting to warm up again tomorrow. But once again, weather impact alert for the next 2.5 days, including tomorrow for Wednesday, with some snow showers likely in the morning. All right, we'll take a break. Probably going to eat a quick dinner. We'll be back in about 25 minutes for an update. We'll take you right to the looping radar. I'm going to hit go, and we'll segue into that. And thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back in just a bit. Have a good, safe night. And welcome back. We continue our live stream coverage of the wintry weather anticipated to move in after midnight tonight and early tomorrow morning. Already seeing some snow in the Memphis and Nashville area. We'll give you an updated look at radar and our futurecast, and we'll have full coverage coming up as far as on air at 10 o'clock on Fox 43, partner station, and of course right here on Channel 10 coming up at 11 o'clock, full coverage ahead. So here's what we're looking at. Right now we've got the clouds that have moved in. We're down to 36 degrees in Knoxville. It's a cold night outside. Winds are north-northeast at 9 miles per hour, and that gives us a current wind chill. It feels like 29 outside. There's the dew point right now at 22 degrees. So we've got some dry air in place as that atmosphere continues to moisten up. That precip moves in. Initially, it'll evaporate into that drier air, but then as it moistens up the lower levels of the atmosphere above our heads, it'll eventually reach the surface. So here's what we're looking at. 30 in Crossville. These are current temperatures. 28 in Jamestown over to Huntsville. 35 in Oak Ridge. Dandridge 36. Morristown not reporting, but generally in the mid-30s as well. 36 in Newport and Pigeon Forge. Lows tonight, Newport and also Morristown to Pigeon Forge about 27. 29 in Knoxville to Maryville, and about 27 tonight, Oak Ridge, Lenore City. Notice Crossville 23, but 19 in Jamestown, about 20 up in Williamsburg, Kentucky. So we'll continue to be cold or below freezing tonight. So if you've joined our live stream and been looking at the radar coverage, this is one of the views we've shown. Here's what we're looking at. We mentioned that axis from Memphis to near Nashville, kind of moving into the Nashville area right now. But you can kind of see that coming out of Arkansas and working its way from Memphis right toward the Nashville area on up into Kentucky. So I'll move it out of the way so we can see the cities. But that's what we're seeing, kind of that southwest to northeast band of some more moderate, heavier snow showers actually approaching the Memphis area. So, yeah, Memphis is starting to see that accumulating snow, and it's likely not going to be a pretty scene in the Memphis area this evening, as that's some decent reflectivity showing up on radar coming in there in West Tennessee. That's working its way again up toward Jackson, right along the I-40 corridor, up toward Dixon, and continuing to make its way to West Nashville right now, and further to the north, up toward White House, be working its way toward Hendersonville and Gallatin here shortly. And again, that extends up into Kentucky. So let's talk about the bigger picture, then we'll hone on in. So that's what we're seeing right now here just after 9:30. Walk forward about an hour and a half. That will continue to make its way a little bit more to the east and start to spread out closer to the northern plateau. So areas like Fentress County, Jamestown, up toward Monticello, maybe London, Corbin, and work its way up in Laurel County and Kentucky. Seeing some of that light snow as we work our way 11 p.m. closer to midnight. And again, I'll have our local futurecast coming up. But then quickly from around midnight to 7 a.m., it quickly accelerates into the rest of East Tennessee. So this is what we're looking at with decent coverage of mainly light snowfall. And again, if you weren't joining our live streams earlier, we'll reiterate that. It generally looks to be a light snowfall event overall, but impactful for our Wednesday morning commute. So it's developing after midnight tonight into the early morning hours, and that's going to bring an impact on area roads. We'll likely see, again, light accumulations, maybe an inch or two is the general amounts that most of our modeling is showing, but that could be enough to create hazardous roadways, especially untreated roads. So we'll talk more about that in a moment, but the main impact is late tonight, early in the morning, even well before sunrise, 3, 4, 5 a.m. developing even in parts of the valley, and continuing through about maybe 9 to 10 a.m. before starting to taper off. So it's mainly a morning impact, and then we'll see a little bit of slight warming, maybe slight melting. Sun comes up, and a little bit of insulation, and low to mid-30s in the afternoon. So that's the bigger picture. So here we pick it back up in the morning. That's when we're seeing some of that accumulating snow again, maybe an inch or two, maybe a little bit more northern areas. And then it'll start to taper off late morning, midday, may have a little bit of lingering flurries. Anything else in the afternoon should mainly be confined to elevated surfaces, but should gradually taper off. We have another disturbance moving in late tomorrow night, early Thursday morning, could give us an additional light coating. The big story for Thursday, and especially the first half of Friday, the very cold air. This is Arctic air. It's moving back in. So we're talking about a 1-2 punch of some generally light snowfall likely late tonight and tomorrow morning with an impact on the roads, then very cold air swinging in behind it with more impacts with the cold wind chills and below freezing highs for Thursday and well below freezing lows. We're talking about upper single digits and low teens for Friday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning. At least Friday we'll have some sunshine returning. So let's come back to and hone on in and localize it a little bit more. Again, there's the snow generally moving into the Nashville area. On the initial edge, again, we talked about this a moment ago. There's some dry air that this will initially have to evaporate and moisten up, but it's just starting to move in. That's what's kind of taking place up here in Kentucky. Most of that not reaching the ground yet, but it will be over the next couple hours or so. And then after midnight, we'll continue to see that starting to reach the ground. So that's what we're seeing. Again, probably you may have a few flurries trying to make it to the surface, but a lot of that probably not reaching the ground just yet from Williamsburg to Jamestown. But again, between now and midnight, it will start to do just that. So here's our local futurecast. Speaking of midnight, there you go. Crossville near Jamestown up toward Williamsburg. Indications are that will continue to develop. And then as we work our way into the early morning hours, you can see most of this is light, but some light to maybe moderate snow showers at times is encompassing much of our region from Williamsburg, Kentucky down toward Tellico Plains and all areas in between. This is 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, and then I know that moves through quickly, so we kind of walk through. There's a look at 7 a.m. Tomorrow morning. Go ahead and put a pause point there. And then as we work away from 7 to 9 a.m., that's what we're seeing. Most of those scattered showers or snow showers moving on through. And then notice it does kind of start to break up by mid to late morning, and that's what the trend should be on into our afternoon. So how much snow can we see? I already mentioned 1 to 2 inches, an inch or two is possible. That's kind of for the valley and around Knoxville. Now, as you go, let's talk about the northern half of the region where the higher amounts are expected. A little bit more 1 to 3. Now, again, it's a range. A lot of times we automatically look at that high number and just pick that one number. I know, you can't do that, right? You got to go with the range. You know, it may be the midpoint of that, but 1 to 3 is the range from Crossville to Morristown. Slightly more than that 1 to 2 from Lenore City, Knoxville to Dandridge, Central Valley, Maryville. So, and then Southern Valley, let me just go ahead and make a point of this, dusting to an inch. But some of our high-res guidance, again, there was at one point, the reason we got dusting and notice a little bit of a lower contour here, there was earlier runs in the modeling from yesterday and early today was showing slight warming coming up and a little bit mixing some light rain. Well, some of our latest high-res guidance is not showing as much of that. So you may be looking, it may be more of a kind of a common 1 to 2, even in some Southern Valley areas. Just looking at some of the high-res modeling, continue to look at that as we go through this evening. But back to the northern areas, there's that 1 to 3 north of Knoxville, northern counties in East Tennessee. The higher amounts 2 to 4 expected near the Tennessee-Kentucky state line on up into Kentucky. Mountains, 1 to 3, especially above 3,000 feet, up 3 inches plus. Higher amounts expected there. So again, overall, that 1 to 2, maybe 1 to 3 in northern areas, but a general light snowfall, and that equates to winter weather advisory, criteria, which is in purple. That includes most of East Tennessee. Now, and again, the Southern Valley is not included here for right now. You're going to still have some impactful weather, though. It doesn't. Here's the thing, and I think I stressed this in the last update. It doesn't take much snow to cause an impact on the roads. Matter of fact, when you have a thin amount of snow on the roads, it's actually worse than if you had several inches. And you know this. Why? Well, think about it. If you got several inches, you actually can get traction a little bit before it gets packed down. And you already know this, right? When it gets packed down and then icy, and then your wheels are spinning on that. But at first, when it snows, you make a snowball. There's traction, right? If it's a wet snow, you can make a snowball. It compacts. And so that's the thing. It's actually better if you get a little bit more for the tires so they aren't hitting the pavement. But you only get a little bit of snow, and it's a thin layer of snow is between the tire and the pavement. It's spinning, basically. So that's the issue. We're not expecting a whole lot, but light amounts of an inch or two can still have an impact on the roads because of the treacherous conditions and that thin coating. So winter weather advisory for the valley, winter storm warning, higher amounts for northern areas. Once we see the snow showers start to gradually taper off later tomorrow, another slight chance for light coating tomorrow night, but then the cold really settles in. Thursday's going to be below freezing with lows in the upper teens and highs in the upper 20s. And very cold, upper single digits, low teens Thursday night, Friday morning. So the Thursday and Friday will have weather impact alerts for the very cold air. Again, just plan on really bundling up. Make sure everybody has a safe heating source. And again, so we got this 3-day stretch. The rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, and most of Friday, where we're dealing with some impactful wintry weather. Snow on the front end tomorrow morning mainly, and then the really cold temperatures continuing Thursday and Friday. I do want to mention, though, with that very cold air sticking around, any moisture on the roads obviously could lead to slick spots. You have to watch for refreezing. So we'll probably get a little bit of melting just from a slight warm up in the low to mid. We're going 34 for high tomorrow, and some of that solar insulation, even with the clouds, even if it's not snowing, some of the daylight, the sunshine can help. But any melting will lead to refreezing. So Thursday morning commute could also be impactful, just from maybe additional light coating of snow coming in late, but also the refreezing. So just want to mention that. So we're talking about the much colder air moving in Thursday, tomorrow night, late Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Cold weather advisory for the plateau up into Kentucky. That also includes Ray County, Roane County, Anderson County, Union County, and Claiborne County. So just on the fringe of Knoxville, we'll see if additional counties are added. That's tomorrow night, not tonight, tomorrow night into Thursday with the really cold air. And our forecast wind chills, again, are near zero right on the plateau. This is for Thursday morning, not tomorrow morning, but the next morning, as that very cold air moves in Thursday. All right, so here's a look back to our regional conditions. Temperatures have continued to drop. I think it was 30 degrees about an hour or so ago in Memphis. Now they're 28, 29 in Nashville. We're down to 36 in Knoxville. It's 2 in Kansas City. Look at the wind chills. Now, we're not going to be that cold, but that 4 below in St. Louis and that 1 in Paducah and that 4 in Indianapolis, that type of wind chill air is moving our way starting late tomorrow night and into Thursday. And so 18 below right now in Kansas City. Wow. All right, so here to wrap it all up, here's our forecast for the rest of overnight tonight. Light snow develops, especially after midnight and through the early morning hours, developing between that 3, 4, 5 a.m. and continuing, probably looking at a decent chance for at least those light to moderate snow showers up until about 8 to 9 a.m., then starting to taper later in the morning. But the impact is in the morning for those snow showers in the morning with the cold temperatures. We'll try to get up to about 34 for the high, just above freezing. But again, even when it stops snowing, number one, and when the higher sun angle this time of year, mid to late February, and just having daylight, the sun is strong through the clouds, particularly this time of year. So even if you didn't get above freezing, but it'll help if you do, obviously. But we'll probably see some melting, improving conditions on the roadways later in the afternoon. But again, anything that melts could refreeze tomorrow night and Thursday morning. Just keep that in mind. So here's your weather impact alert, for Wednesday, Thursday, into Friday morning. Again, Thursday's highs only in the upper 20s. Friday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning, low of 12. Sunshine Friday, 37. Slowly warming up through the weekend in the 40s, and we're back in the mid to upper 50s by next week. Okay, that will do it for this live stream update. Again, we're going to keep an eye on for you throughout the night. Coming up at 10 o'clock, full hour of news, weather, and sports on Fox 43, and at 11 o'clock on Channel 10. Yeah, our main station will give you a full update and keep you updated throughout the night into early tomorrow morning. But plan on some snow in the morning, could impact travel, and definitely plan on the colder air to coming our way over the next few days. Stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you back in a bit.